Goodwill ship from Formosa, sailing under the Golden Gate Bridge, the 70-foot junk Free China, a craft as seaworthy as it is picturesque, arrives in San Francisco Harbor. A crew of 5 Chinese made the 6,000-mile journey across the Pacific in 53 days. A 6th person aboard is U.S. Vice Consul at Formosa, Calvin Maylard. The crew, refugees from their communist-controlled homeland, made the journey to dramatize the cause of Free China.
Hello, I'm Lee Goodman for the Ralston Purina Company of Checkerboard Square, St. Louis, makers of rice checks, wheat checks, rye crisp, and instant Ralston. And now, let's go on a bold journey, your television passport to the world of adventure, bringing you each week a guest who has journeyed far. Here to present tonight's journey with actual films is John Stevenson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have the actual films of a most unusual journey. A journey across the wide Pacific and, of all things, a Chinese junk. The starting point is the harbor of Keelung in Formosa, or Taiwan. And the crew is made up of 4 Chinese sailors, a young American who was the United States Vice Consul to Formosa, and tonight's guest, Mr. Paul Chow. Now, here's the story behind the story. The junk was scheduled to sail from Formosa to San Francisco, then be freighted to Rhode Island to enter an international sailing race to Sweden. Well, as we'll discover in a moment, the junk never got to the Atlantic. But it did successfully sail from Formosa to San Francisco, and the actual films of this colorful crossing will begin in just a moment. But now, here's that world-traveling salesman from Checkerboard Square, Lee Goodman. It's my pleasure to present one of the crew members who sailed the Chinese junk from Formosa to San Francisco, a distance of more than 7,000 miles. Mr. Paul Chow, now a student at City College in San Francisco. How are you, Mr. Chow? It's nice to have you in our program, sir.
It's nice to be here.
Now, why don't you sit down and make yourself comfortable? Now, did I introduce you properly, and did I get my facts straight?
Yes. Our plan was to get the junk, sail the junk across the Pacific to San Francisco, and then freight it across the country to enter the international yacht race from Rhode Island to Sweden.
A junk in a yacht race? Did you have a chance?
We were accepted into a yacht race, and they promised to give us a fair rating, and that means a handicap.
I see. Well, that makes sense. There's quite an interesting story, I believe, on how your junk got its name. Could you tell us that, please?
We were going to call it the Dragon Seed first. But when the former owner of the junk learned that we were going to go to America, and they thought we were going to become millionaires, so they raised the price. The mayor of Keelung heard it then. He said he would give us $1,000 if we called it the city of Keelung. But the governor of Formosa heard about it. He said he would buy the whole boat for us if we called it the Free China. So we called it the Free China.
Naturally. As I understand it, the American passenger in your crew was the vice consul to Formosa. Is that correct?
Yes, he was the vice consul to Taipei. We had to go to him to get our visa to come to the United States. When he heard about our voyage, he asked if he could come along. So we took him.
All right, Mr. Chow, thank you. Suppose we see these fine films of the sailors from Formosa and their courageous crossing of the Pacific in a Chinese junk.
John, this is the junk on which we crossed the Pacific. On her bow, we had 2 eyes to see the way. It 78 feet overall length, 16 feet wide. We crossed the Pacific from Formosa to Okinawa, then to Japan. This is Formosa. It's my country, Formosa. We call it Taiwan. This is the farm. The street scene. Those are the street signs. In the street, you can see almost every day a parade celebrating the birthday or the death of some gods or idols. The idol rides in this sedan chair. Here's where I work. We bought this junk, but we had to repair it. On the stern, there was 2 eels painted there, and it's supposed to keep the big fish and evil fishes away.
And you got here, and so naturally it did.
Yeah, that's right. We had to make a new sail, and friends came down there to help us, and they came down there to help us repairing the boats. Also, some friends came down to visit us while we were working. This girl was holding a tiller. That tiller measures 10 feet long and 6 inches in diameter. We broke about a dozen of them.
And this was all manually operated, wasn't it?
That's right. On the day of departure, friends came down there, and there were thousands of people. I never did know how many there were because I was too excited.
Of course,
They gave us a big send-off, John. The mayor of Keelung and our boss went down there to give a speech, and as usually, we were sent off by a big firecracker, which we use in almost every celebration in China. Our boss gave us a big speech. Then we were towed away from Keelung Harbor. We had to be towed away because we started inexperienced. We didn't know how to sail. All the boats in harbor, they turn around and wave at us. So we were towed out of the breakwater, and we took a last sight of Keelung Harbor, our home port. The towboat cast us off.
So what were your feelings at this moment, Mr. Chow?
Oh, we were so excited, but only worry is to raise the sail. We had a terrible time in raising it. We didn't know how to raise it, so we started to argue and quarrel, and everybody got his own opinion in how to raise the sail and set it.
Mutiny already, huh?
But finally we did it. We had it all set up, the main and the fore, and we were underway with the Formosa coast receding behind us. These are my shipmates. The captain, Marco Zhong, he's a Northern Chinese. Ship's doctor, Hu Lu, is also a musician. Ship's purser, Reno Chan. Ship's carpenter, Manny Xu. Ship's chief photographer, Calvin Maynard. He was the American vice consul in Formosa. This is myself, navigator and the radio operator. We met into a typhoon right after we left Formosa. It was so rough that we couldn't take any picture. Everything broke down. We had to be towed into Okinawa for repairs. We met some Chinese overseas there and lots of Americans. The Cub Scouts of the American families there, they went down to the boat to visit us, and they've invited us to their homes to have dinners and go sightseeing. We were quite surprised to see that Okinawa was restored so fast. New buildings everywhere. No sign of war.
What's this?
Our lifeboat. But France wouldn't trust our lifeboat. They gave us a rubber lifeboat, and they insist to pump it out for us to test it. After a week in Okinawa, we left for Japan. We were towed away by a Caltex tug. Marco says thank you to the friends in Okinawa. That's an international sign for thank you. Now we are sailing toward Japan. That was 1,200 miles. We were learning fast, and we were getting used to the sea now. Hulu is making his daily check on the sail. On these Chinese sail, you can walk right up to the top of the mast on those bamboo battens. Weather's warm there. We didn't have to wear much. We received a passenger from Okinawa to Japan. She stayed there for 3 days, but she refused to eat and died.
Oh, that's very sad.
We carried 300 bottles in which we put a note and asking people to send it back to us to test the current. John, we have already received 10 of them back.
Well, that's quite a good percentage of returns.
Yes. Marco is taking a swim in the warm Kuroshio current. So we sail on toward the rising sun. We made this Japanese flag as a courtesy. One early morning, we found us in the harbor of Yokohama. Boats came by. Custom boats, harbor police, Coast Guard, and immigrations. They came, they said, we came in against all regulations. We shouldn't anchor there, they said. We should have more papers. They looked very mad, and some big officials came aboard, and they looked very serious. They sent down a tug. They told us past all these big ships. We thought they were going to arrest us. Instead of cops, we saw these people there welcoming us at the quay.
What a reception.
They came down there and there are big signs saying, "Welcome to Free China. Long life for 10,000 years." That's the Chinese greeting word. Officials from the American consulate and the Chinese consulate went down there to greet us. They took us to the Chinese ambassador in Tokyo, where we had the honor in taking a picture with Dr. Harlington Tong, the Chinese ambassador.
He's certainly a very distinguished-looking man.
So we were told to Yokosuka to have the boat repaired. Some artists came down to paint our boat and a lot of visitors. We made a lot of friends there. They brought things down to us and invited us to their home.
Was it quite unusual for them to see a Chinese junk in their harbor?
Yes, that's right. 2 Chinese sailors, they went down there and asked us to take their pictures. I think we did even better. We put it on American television.
You sure did.
A friend of ours gave us a Jolly Roger. Our chicken ranch on the junk. They deliver 1 egg every day, faithfully, never failed. So we take turns in eating the eggs once every 6 days. We had to put the junk up the slipway because the bottom was rotten and it sprung a leak. It was so rotten that you can pick it off with your finger. But we couldn't afford to pay for the repair, so we just let it go that way and put some putties in. Calvin had a friend in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He took us to their home in the countryside. His sisters, dressed in traditional Japanese way, greeted each other. And the parents greet each other, too. His sister made all these Japanese dolls by hand. I think it is a geisha girl, and she gave it to us to bring it across the ocean as a mascot.
This again is our American Vice Consul.
Yeah, that's right. This little boy, his son, all the time they were trying to make him smile to us. He wouldn't. But finally, they got him to wave to us.
Good for him.
Time to leave Japan. All the Chinese in Yokohama went there to send us off. Some reporters from Stars and Stripes. The American Navy gave us a tug and towed us out of the breakwater into the Tokyo Bay. Some boats came around and circled around us, waved us goodbye. Helicopters waved to us. On our way out, we met President Madison. They gave us a long toot, but we didn't have anything to return, so we raced this to salute them.
That must have shaken them up a little.
We could hear the laughter. So now we went out of Japan. Let's go to America. 7,000-mile route is in front of us now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul Chow. We'll continue this daring journey of the sailors from Formosa in just a moment. But first, let's look in on Lee Goodman from Checkerboard Square.
John, now we are out in the Pacific. We were not making very good speed, so we tried to put up this sail. But it didn't work. One morning, Benny shouted, "Whales! What? Whales?" They came and kept coming. I think they thought we were a whale. And it took them about half hour to pass us. We couldn't see their tail. So we started an argument whether the tail of the fish is perpendicular or horizontal to the body.
Perpendicular or horizontal? And who won?
We never found out because we couldn't see it. Now you take a look yourself.
What we're seeing is the dorsal fin, right?
That's right. Reno is looking at Calvin pumping the lifeboat. We check it several times at sea. Our chicken takes a walk on the promenade deck once in a while. This is our vegetable garden. We had fresh vegetable all the time. Hulu decided to give us a haircut right in the middle of the ocean. I was the first one to take it. That's a 2-week grow. He's the ship's doctor because he's a horse doctor by profession. We had all the time a fishing line trolling behind us, trying to catch some fish. And seagulls thought we were going to catch fish. They followed us all along. But all we caught was the seagull. It measured 6 feet spread. We couldn't do anything with it, so we wrapped a ring around its leg on which bear the name of our junk and date we caught it, and we let it go.
The naturalists of America would be very happy with the way you conducted this experiment.
The only ship we met was a Japanese tanker. She passed us without stopping, so we raised this flag. They came right back and turned around. They shouted to us, "What do you want?" We said, "We got so lonesome that we just want to talk to you."
Lonesome pirates.
There are many calms, and on those days, we have our things out to dry and relax. Calvin is on his KP. We take turns in cooking, once every 6 days. Our main diet is rice. We save every grain of it. Nothing are to be wasted. We wash it in seawater. On my birthday, they gave me a dinner party.
Aha.
Calvin was learning Chinese all along the voyage. Captain Marco Chung was his teacher. He's writing a flashcard. It says, "Decision." Calvin learned about 2,000 characters on the voyage. We weren't making very good speed, so we were all the time, we were trying to put out extra sail, which we found in the hold, to get some more speed. But we never could figure out. This time we tried a outrigging boom, but it pulled the boat sideways. As a matter of fact, John, we never figured it out, and we still don't know how to.
What was your average speed during the trip?
About 4.5 knots.
Uh-huh.
But on a storm like this, we run about 8.5 knots.
Mm-hmm.
We're just with half sail, and it's really traveling. The only thing we worried at that time is the mast. There was no shroud on the mast. It rocked 2 inches to each side on its base. It's very difficult to navigate in this weather. Sometimes it took me half an hour to take a sight because I couldn't get any horizon. On 4th of July, we honored our American crew, Calvin Maynard.
I think I know what this is going to be.
He was a good sport. So we sailed toward the east, America. but it's very slow, and we were reading, writing books, carving boats. Looks like we're going to miss the yacht race. Our only compass is a lifeboat compass. Many foggy days in North Pacific. Although there's no boat around, we still observe the international rules of the road. We blew our foghorn once every 2 minutes.
Which looks like a conch shell.
Yeah, 500 miles from Aleutian, we saw seals,
They look so tiny.
but no sign of land. We had to sail up to catch rainwater. That's the only time we can wash. We have to save all the fresh water for food and drinking. Ropes start to give away. First, we replaced them with the new ropes, but they gave away. So we had to find the old ropes and splice them up and get the rotten part away. Calvin is manning the flour sacks. We got some rats on board.
Uh-oh.
Hulu is our only musician on board. He had a Chinese bamboo flute. Now we're getting closer to American shore. Everybody's happy. One morning, Benny shouted, "Land ho!" We saw this island, southeast Farallon off San Francisco coast. Then, immediately after, we saw boats, fishing boats. Then, the Movieton News boat came. The Coast Guard, they threw us ice cream, pies, fresh bread. They're awfully nice people. They escorted us all the way in. Then the newspaper boats, some more newspaper boats, and yachts. Finally, we saw this sign, which we have dreamed for 4 months.
The Golden Gate Bridge.
We were all excited. Take pictures.
This must have been a very proud moment for you, Mr. Chow, to hit San Francisco after crossing the ocean. A tribute to your navigation, I'd say.
Thank you, John. Let's go to luck. The immigration and the customs officers boarded our boat. They cleared us within a minute. Under the gate, we picked up a gust of wind. We raised the motorboats in, and we beat them all. So we pulled up all of our flags, and we sailed toward Fisherman's Wharf. Chinatown sent out a boat on which were the Queen of Chinatown. We see this crowd. Calvin Maynard got a reunion with his family, his mother, brother, sister-in-law. The mayor of Berkeley invited us to breakfast the next morning. We were very proud.